Hello and welcome to the Pleistocene channel. My name is Daniel. This is Kerbal Space Program. Let's see what kind of trouble we can get these little green people in today. So I'm kind of starting this series as I guess a story type series. We're gonna tell their story, but my idea is that Jebediah Kerman and Bob and Bill, as well as all the other Kerbals that are still alive on the planet, have been in cryo-stasis for a long period of time. Their world, let's say 2,000 years ago, was decimated by nuclear warfare, and the only people that survived were in the Kerbal Space Center because it had the actual structure, the infrastructure to be able to withstand the blast and the fallout that was caused by the radiation or the nuclear war. Anyway, so Jebediah and his compatriots Bill and Bob came out of cryostasis, and now they have to do some research. Now we have to help them find out whether or not their world is livable. Is it still completely irradiated, or can it actually support Kerbal life? So in order to do this, we're going to have to take some we're going to have to collect some data, do some experiments to find out whether or not the planet still has too much radiation. So the first thing we're going to do, we only have some components left over from the space program, 2 millennia ago. So we have to use the components we've got, and as we collect more data, we can put them into our research and development team. We can give them to the research and development team. We have a few scientists that were still in cryostasis. They've now been thawed out, and so those scientists are busy working on research and development. And as we progress, as we get more data about what the atmosphere is like and what materials we still have available to us, they can come up with new designs and we can build bigger rockets. So right now all we're doing is collecting atmospheric data, collecting data from the ground, from geological data, and we're trying to figure out whether or not the planet is irradiated. So to be able to do that, we have to do it from several different places. Now our resident scientist that has been thought out is Bob Kerman. So while Jebediah is the pilot, Bob has designed the experiment. So Jebediah is going to pilot this very first craft. He's going to go to the point where Bob tells him that we need some data from and collect it from the surface. So this first craft is very basic. All we've got is a solid fuel booster. We've got a couple of actually, let's put a couple more parachutes on here just in case. Since we've got these metal struts, we can add those couple more parachutes. I don't really like how that's clipping. Let's try to fix that real quick. Let's do 2 there, and then we can put these on to there. Okay. So as we progress, we're gonna need to get the scientists going. We're gonna need to collect new stuff. If they cannot live on Kerbal or on the planet Kerbin anymore, if it's just too bad, then they're going to have to find a new place to live. So now that everybody's thawed out, all these people are just potentially getting completely irradiated. I don't know what they're doing standing out there. Why would they even open the vehicle assembly building? What are they thinking? Anyway, so if Kerbin is not habitable anymore, then they're going to have to find a new place to live. They're going to have to find what we're going to call New Kerbin. So like I said, Jebediah is going to pilot this first craft. So we're since this is kind of a new start, we're going to call this spacecraft the New Kerbin Space Program. So KSP Genesis 1 spacecraft. So this is their new beginning. Alright, let's give it a go. Alright, so we're out here on the launch pad. Even though Jebediah is not going to have any control over this solid thruster, he has throttled up to full. We're going to turn our stability control on so that Jebediah has the ability to control the craft. And then we're going to go up in the air. We're going to shoot over the vehicle assembly building and hopefully land in the grassy area over on the other side. We didn't set up our staging in the vehicle assembly building. Luckily, Jebediah saw that in time and can make the necessary modifications. Now, when we take off, it'll just be the solid rocket booster. Then we'll save the parachutes for when we're coming back down. Alright, so we're going to do one experiment as high up as we can go in the atmosphere, and then we're going to do the other experiment when we land on the ground. Alright, so let's get this going. We're going to blast off in 3, 2, 1, blast off! Alright, so we are passing 200 meters per second. We're going higher and higher and higher. He's going to start his turn. We want to go... Oh, did we go far enough? Yeah, I think we're going to land in the grassy area over on the other side of the Space Center. Okay, so we have used all of our fuel. We are continuing to rise. We are going up over 3,000 meters. Let's go ahead and observe what we got up here in the atmosphere. Okay, so while flying at Kerbin, the goo jiggles and wobbles. Well, that's good data. I mean, we can bring that back to the scientists. That'll be great. Okay, it looks like we might come down right back on top of the Kerbal Space Center, which is okay. This was a test flight, so we'll take what we can get. As long as we're getting caught by wind apparently. All right, we need to turn back over because we need to deploy these parachutes. All right. So yeah, we're gonna come right back down at the Space Center. Jebediah is gonna go ahead and collect the data here. This will actually be useful because it will tell us we haven't actually measured what the radiation levels are like outside the actual structures of the Kerbal Space Center. So we'll see how it goes. Alright, so we're coming down, we're coming in for a landing. Jebediah is doing well. Let's see how he, let's see from his view. What is my camera doing? I'm changing it. Auto. I don't know why we were moving. Okay, anyway, going inside. I did it again. How do you go inside? Okay, let me just do it like this. Let's do view. Alright, so inside here all we have is a bunch of metal. We've got some indicators. Our altitude is slowly going down. We're down to 300 meters above the sea level. We're going down even further. Alright, but it's going pretty slow. The view out this window isn't very good. Hopefully we'll be able to design some other kind of cockpit pretty soon. But for now it'll work. Alright, let's go back outside. Okay, so we're going to come in for a landing basically right on top of the crawler way. But that's okay, because once again it'll be some good data for our first foray. Now, along with the specialists at the Kerbal Space Center, so you know the pilots like Jebediah, the scientists, and the engineers, we also have a bunch of civilians that just happen to be collected and put into cryo freeze with all of the specialists. So these civilians have started setting up a little bit of an economy, kind of a micro economy within the Kerbal Space Center, and it's going to allow us to use some of our assets to purchase upgrades, so we can pay some of those civilians to upgrade our buildings. Can get paid by some of those civilians for accomplishing different feats, and all of that is based on the idea that we're using our assets to help fund this space program. Alright, so we're going to collect the rest of our data from ground level here. We're gonna see if we can turn over. Apparently we don't have enough torque to actually turn the ship over, but we can have Jebediah. He does have a spacesuit, so he is protected from the radiation, for better or for worse. So he's going to get out. He's going to take a EVA report, so he can, take note of his surroundings and store it in the capsule. He's also going to go down to ground level because up in the air, which he was a few meters above ground up on the capsule. So down here he can take another EVA report, and it's actually considered a different area. So now we're reporting from the actual vehicle assembly building, getting a little more data for the scientists. So alright, so now we can actually recover both of these. I'm going to recover Jebediah first, and then I'm going to recover the vessel. So we've got a couple of pieces of data there. We've got some data here. Excellent. And recovering all of those pieces gave us some of our assets back, so we can use those in future missions. Okay, so let's go to mission control. So I did miss a couple of missions by going ahead and jumping right into the flying, but I was kind of excited to get it done. So some of the next things we can try to escape the atmosphere. It's an advance of 18,000, I don't know, Kerbal monetary units, let's call it that. And then what do we need? We can test the Flea solid rocket booster, because we just launched the Flea, and it's a solid rocket booster, so it's going to be kind of the first stage no matter what we're doing. Alright, so we can only take 2 active contracts right now until we upgrade the administration facility over there, or mission control. The other thing we got to do is we got to look at what we got to use, what we can develop here. So our scientists have been hard at work, and it looks like they've designed something new for us. So now this game actually makes science seem like a commodity. Something you can like go out and gather and then bring back and use it to buy new stuff. There's only a little bit of that. Really, science itself, you have to make some observations about your physical environment, and then come up with a hypothesis, and then either reject or accept the hypothesis based on your either experimentation or your data collection, and then you can say whether or not the hypothesis is supported or not. Which is how you get, if a hypothesis is supported over and over, then you actually have some kind of scientific progression going on. But unless you design some kind of research plan, then you don't really go out and collect science in the real world. But in KSP you do. You go out and collect science and you bring it back and you buy new cool stuff. But that's okay. But for our purposes, I'm actually going to take this one because we've got a heat shield, we've got some landing struts, we've got some extra parachutes, which are always good, and we've got a service base, so we don't, if we get this, we don't have to put our goo containers on the outside of the ship anymore, which, is kind of dangerous. Okay, so I have most of the settings the same as like the moderate settings for KSP. But the one thing I did change is I changed the crew respawn, because if I end up killing someone, I think they should probably stay dead, which is kind of sad. But I don't want them to respawn because Kerbals have not come up with some way to overcome death yet. And I also changed the idea that you get all of the stuff for free when you research it. So whenever we research something, we actually do have to invest the assets in fabricating those pieces. Alright, so we had Jebediah flying this ship. Now our mission that we took is to, well, for one, to launch this Flea rocket booster, which we can still have on the bottom of our ship. But we're going to make some modifications to the Genesis. So the Genesis is going to be the capsule. We're going to call this new ship the Genesis 2. Whoops. And on this Genesis 2, we are going to put the goo containers inside the service bay, which we can put right underneath the capsule. So let's open that up, and actually, I'm going to turn that so that it's facing that way, and we'll put the goo containers. Now we could put a actual this science experiment right here, which is called the Science Junior. I think it's called a materials bay in the missions, but we could put that on, but I'm not gonna do that right now. I don't think there's any reason for it. So we are gonna put 2 more goo containers on this. This time we're going to shoot for a mission to find out how irradiated the waters of Kerbin are. So we're going to try to complete our contract, which the contract is to escape the atmosphere. So we're going to see if we can escape the atmosphere of Kerbin, and then we're going to try to crash down in the water so that we can see whether or not we have irradiated waters. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm going to put on a few... Actually, you know what I'll need to do? I need to put on a heat shield because we're going to be coming in pretty hot. So let's purchase the heat shield part. We'll put it on the bottom of the materials bay here. And then we'll connect, guess we need another decoupler. Oh, stack decoupler, we need to purchase that. Okay, we need a decoupler here. Put on the liquid fuel tanks and liquid fuel engine, which is called the swivel. So this swivel engine is the gimbling version. So the T45 is the gimbling version. It doesn't give quite as much power as the T30, but it does give you that gimbal support so that you can use it to, change course, which works out really well. Okay, so beyond that, we're going to put another stack decoupler. Then we're going to put, should we just go for the flea? No, I feel like I want to go higher than that. So let's go ahead and put on both. Let's do this hammer rocket booster. Now the flea actually has to be tested from the launch pad, so we're actually going to do many stages here. I'm going to try to make reusable things as much as possible, but at the first part of this game, they're not going to be very reusable, so we're just going to kind of have to discard these boosters as we go. We won't get any return for the parts. I mean, I could put parachutes on them, but multi-stage parachutes don't always work. So just as you get far enough away from them, they tend to disappear and crash to the ground anyway. So all right, let's set up our staging real quick. We need this stage ahead of. Oh, wait, nope, that's not right. Where's our? Oh, that's apparently up here. So let's put this in its own stage. We'll take it down here. And then we need this decoupler. We need the big solid rocket booster, another decoupler, the liquid fuel booster, and then the parachutes last. Now I only have one parachute on. I think I'm going to add 2 more because we did add a little bit of weight to this thing. So if we put, whoops, we put on this one. Alright, now we've got 3 parachutes going on. We don't have any drogue chutes, but I don't really think we need them. I'm going to go ahead and purchase them, see if we can stick them on somewhere. Let's move these down a bit, and then we can actually probably fit the drogue chutes right in here. So that drogue chute, they'll slow us down a little bit. The only reason I'm putting them on is because I'm worried. Whoops, did I? No, that's good. Okay. So I want the drogue chutes to open a little early, just because I feel like we might be re-entering the atmosphere really hot. So we'll see. Okay, so who's our pilot going to be for this one? Jebediah is going to take a seat, and Valentina Kerman is actually going to take command of this vessel. She is a many-time award-decorated pilot, and she is going to fly this vessel and go up out of the atmosphere. And then come back down, and she'll collect the data from both the outer space and in the water. Alright, anything else we need to do? I think we're ready. I think we are ready. Let's go ahead and take this out to the launch pad, and we'll get it going. Alright, I don't like that little break right there between the between that decoupler and the hammer booster. Anyway, but Valentina is ready to go. She is raring to go. She is excited. So we're going to turn on her stability assist so that she has control of the vessel. And then we've got our first stage ready to go. That is the goal of this particular contract, to test the RT5 flea solid fuel booster, which is this one right here. So when it takes off, we should achieve that goal. Alright, so let's blast off in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off. Okay, that flea is kind of struggling to get the weight of this ship off, but it did a really good job. We are 200 meters up, and we're activating our hammer booster. When we hit 10,000 meters, we're actually going to start doing a gravity turn, head out over the water. Oh, wow, that explosion sounded big, even though it was way down there at the launch pad. Okay, so when this solid fuel booster actually peters out, we're gonna activate our liquid fuel booster, and we'll start our gravity turn. Alright, so we are up over 7,000 meters. We're gonna continue to climb a little bit, but I'm gonna start turning over. I don't want to turn too fast because I want the aerodynamics to be able to keep up with me. If I turn too fast, then the aerodynamics are going to start pushing me down and I'll start doing flips. So now that we're 15,000 up, can start turning even more. And we have lost our fuel. Excellent. Are we going to make it out of the atmosphere? Looks like we will, just as long as that doesn't fall too much. So as long as we get up over 70,000 meters, we will be out of the atmosphere. We will be in outer space. Even though the relative apoapsis is decaying just a little bit, I think we're going to be just fine to make it out of the atmosphere. How are we doing, Valentina? She's looking calm and collected. You can see the larger Kerbin landscape. It's terrible that such a beautiful planet is potentially so irradiated. The data that we've collected is still at the lab, so we're not sure whether or not we can actually survive on this planet. Hopefully we'll know after a few more tests have been done. Alright, so we are continuing to climb. We are getting pretty close to our apoapsis. Our apoapsis has stopped decaying quite as fast, so we will definitely be in space. Oh, now that music signifies that we have reached outer space. Valentina Kerman is super excited. Look how happy she is. So now that we're up here, though, it's not all fun and games. We've got to make sure we collect data of the outer space so that we have a control, so we know whether or not the planet is irradiated in comparison to the greater, the greater space around it. So goo seems to have clumped into a sphere. It has become brittle. Okay, so that's how the goo acts in an oxygen-free environment that is, the vacuum of space. And then we have almost hit our apoapsis, and I think we are right now, and that means our altitude is going to start dropping. When we hit 70,000 again, we'll be back in the atmosphere. We need to point our heat shield so that it is going to ablate most of the heat that is going to be building up because of our friction with the air. We have completed both contracts. We have tested the Flea solid rocket booster. We have achieved our goal of escaping the atmosphere, and now we are falling back toward Kerbin at a relatively reasonable rate. One of the big problems with these early missions is getting out of the atmosphere is pretty easy. You can point a rocket straight up and get out of the atmosphere, but if you do that, you'll come down really, really hard. So what I've done is I've turned it so that the rocket pushed us out to where we'll enter the atmosphere at a relatively light pace. I keep doing that. A relatively reasonable rate so that we don't have to worry so much about the impact of the air. Because the heat shield will take care of it, but if you hit the air too fast and you start flipping end over end, it can be hard to keep the heat shield facing down. We've also got these drogue chutes, which are able to be deployed at 2,500 meters. The main chutes can't actually open until... Oh, that's not it. Can't actually open until 1,000 meters safely. Now, the actual altitude itself doesn't necessarily matter, but the pressure is what matters. Because if we're falling, the air pressure is going to be really high, so we need to bleed off some of our vertical speed before we can actually open these parachutes safely. So we are actually at a speed where we can open our drogue chutes, but I'm going to actually wait until we get a little bit lower. I want to get through the heat of the atmosphere before we actually open those. Although we are coming down at such a rate that, okay, yeah, see, we're starting to heat up here. Here's our re-entry. So we're going to start slowing down here. It'll eventually, we're dropping in speed pretty fast now. And then once we get down far enough, we can open those drogue chutes and it'll bleed off even more speed. So if I had opened the drogue chutes before this point, then they would be destroyed by the air pressure. Okay, so we're coming down. Okay, our drogue chutes can be deployed now. It's going to slow us down significantly. And now actually our main chutes are safe to deploy as well. Okay, so those drogue chutes were awesome. The main chutes are open but not completely deployed, but still they are providing enough drag to potentially get us down safely. So we're dropping at a rate of 30 meters per second. When those parachutes fully deployed, we'll actually be going at probably about like 3 meters per second. So I can actually speed up time if I need to. I might do that in the interest of not wanting to sit here for too long. I like being fairly conservative with when I use the time speed thing, but it might be alright. Okay, so we've got one. Okay, so our chutes have fully deployed now. We have gone down to a rate of about 5 meters per second, and it's dropping even further as we get further down in the atmosphere. So we're down to 4.7, and it may drop even further. So once we hit the water, we do have our other goo canister to test. So I'm going to keep this bay closed until we actually get into the water, just in case. Don't want anything to cause problems. Okay, we're still 700 meters up. So yeah, I am going to go ahead and speed up time, just because this descent is going to be really slow at 4.5 meters per second. We're still, 600 meters above the ground. So the water effects look pretty cool. I think they changed them. They look really interesting, although it does look kind of patterned. I don't know if that's realistic, but it does look cool. I mean, it does look much more like water than I remember it looking. So that's kind of cool. I've also heard you can actually land on the water now, like in a plane, which is kind of cool, because it would be a less intense stop than it would be in on land. So okay, I'm gonna go ahead and slow time back down a little bit. We're now 40 meters above the surface of the water, and we are going to impact in just a moment. And we have splashdown. Okay. Alright, so Valentina Kerman has successfully piloted this mission. She's going to roll this just a little bit, just because she wants to be able to get out and be able to take an EVA report from Kerbin's water. And then she's going to get back in the capsule. We're going to open this up. We're going to observe the mystery goo, if I can click on it. Alright, the goo escapes into the water. No! But still, we've got some data from that, so that'll work. We're also going to do a crew report, which I actually meant to do in space, but then I forgot. So we're going to do it from the water. Excellent. We've gotten some good data. We've gotten some information about the irradiation of the planet Kerbin. So now it's time to recover the vessel and bring Valentina Kerman back home. Excellent, excellent. We've gotten a lot of science. We've gotten a lot of our parts back. We did lose, the boosters that we had to jettison. But we've still got a lot of parts coming back, and we have some good assets. We still do have a good amount of Kerbal monetary units to be able to purchase upgrades for our facilities, which I think that we might do that first thing next time. Thanks for watching this video. My name is Daniel. This is the Pleistocene channel, and this is Kerbal Space Program, the new Kerbin series, where we're going to try to get our Kerbals. We're either going to find out we can live on this planet, or we're going to find them a new planet to call home. Something we'll call New Kerbin. So anyway, thanks for watching.